مارين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. مبارك إن شاء الله.
Hello Muslim friends of the world. Singapore is often called a melting pot or a place where many different beliefs, cultures and traditions melt into each other, including Islam. The city-state authorities say that 16% of its total population is Muslim. Even though it is a minority, Islam is special in Singapore. This was conveyed by the second Minister of Health, Singapore's Minister of Social and Family Development Masagos Zulkifli, who also serves as minister responsible for Singapore Muslim affairs. In Singapore, we are given a very big privilege, where only Muslims are given the ministry to regulate Muslims. This does not apply to other religions, explained Masagos when meeting face-to-face with Indonesian journalists participating in the Indonesian Journalists Visit Program, IJVP, at the Singapore Parliament building. According to Masagos, this privilege comes from the Constitution. Article 152 in our Constitution states that we are native residents of Singapore, and our religion, culture and language will be protected. That's why there is an Islamic religious minister, said Masagos. We also have a Muslim legal administration law which regulates Muslim religious affairs including marriage, endowments, inheritance, mosque construction, and so on. Masagos underlined the challenge, namely ensuring that the Muslim minority in Singapore can still feel the same comfort as the rest of society. Furthermore, Masagos explained the approach from an Islamic perspective in Singapore. So, if we look at how Islam is practiced in a country like Singapore, of course it is different from Muslim-majority countries. I will give one example. I was previously the Environment Minister, where one of my responsibilities was to manage food imports, including pork and alcohol, Masagos said. Should I tell the Prime Minister not to do it because I don't consume pork and alcohol? As Muslims in Singapore, we have to understand how to carry out religious practices, how Islam is applied in the context of our society. On the other hand, Masagos revealed that together with the ulama he was trying to ensure that the Singaporean Islamic community was not easily influenced by the views and approaches adopted in Muslim-majority countries. Last year, we held the International Conference on Community of Success. How to become a successful minority community, a community that not only receives, but also gives, so that the Muslim community can become responsible citizens, he added. Singapore has a number of mosques that have a high history. He is now hundreds of years old, because some of them were built in the 1800s. Even though they are old, these mosques are still standing today. The building has its own beauty value commensurate with its historical value. Every day, Muslims in the Lion Country carry out worship rituals in these mosques. And indeed, its existence cannot be separated from the history of Singapore and the spread of Islam there. Sultan Mosque. This is the largest mosque in Singapore, which was built in 1826 AD. Even though its size is still inferior to the Istiqlal Mosque, the cleanliness of the Sultan Mosque is very well maintained. This makes the congregation comfortable worshipping in it. This mosque, which was built in Kampong Glam, is the main attraction for foreign tourists who come to Singapore. Around 5,000 worshippers can be accommodated in it. The design of the Sultan Mosque building was designed by Dennis Santry from Swan and McLaren. All construction costs were borne by the Sultan's family and the Muslims at that time. Denis adopted a Saracenic style or Mughal Gothic style complete with a minaret, replacing the old mosque with Indonesian architecture in the previous mosque. The Sultan Mosque received recognition from the Singapore government on March 14, 1975 as a national monument. And its status is now owned and managed by Majlis Ugama Islam Singapura, MUIS. Haja Fatima Mosque. This mosque is located along Beach Road in the Kampong Glam area. Construction began in 1846. The architecture combines Islamic and European styles. Haja Fatima was the entrepreneur who financed the construction of the mosque so that her name was finally immortalized as the name of the mosque. The Haja Fatima Mosque is surrounded by high walls. The courtyard consists of a room for prayer, a tomb, the priest's residence, a place for ablution, several additional buildings, and a garden. The unique characteristic of this mosque lies in its tower, which is designed according to European patterns. The tower is inclined about 6 degrees. Omar Village Mosque. This mosque is located in the King Biao Street area. The shape is not too big. However, this mosque is the first to be built in Singapore. This old mosque is located in the middle of the Singapore River Planning Area, Singapore's central business district, and the heart of Singapore's business city. According to history, the Omar Kampong Mosque was built by a rich Arab merchant from Palembang, South Sumatra, named Syed Abdullah bin Omar Al-Junaid in 1820. Initially, this mosque was built with a wooden structure. Then, Syed Abdullah rebuilt the mosque using bricks in 1855. Even though it was built using bricks, this mosque was not equipped with a minaret since it was built. It was only in 1985 that it was equipped with a tower. In the midst of the heterogeneity of Singaporean society, it turns out that this neighboring country also has a number of charismatic and respected ulama figures. One of the many names that has a place in the hearts of Singaporean Muslims is Sheikh Umar bin Abdullah Al-Khatib. It is not surprising that the departure of the figure of South Yemeni descent who faced the Creator on September 22, 1997 left deep sorrow for the Muslims of the White Lion country. In fact, the Islamic world also lost a figure who during his life dedicated himself to worshipping Allah and doing social charity towards others. This figure, born in Darim, South Yemen, in 1907, was famous for his extensive knowledge. Muslim communities from various ethnicities in Singapore flock to his guidance classes, which are held almost every day and night. His Tadarus class later became famous abroad, and was also known by foreign scholars. In fact, his name is included in the list of clerics who must be visited by their Taklim councils when they visit Southeast Asia.